good night, we would say in Europe, because it is night. Good night. I'm going to talk about health. I guess that's why I'm here. The problem is that people are used to a whole lot of my scientific jargon and things that we say in science just to keep you confused, because that's what we do. But it's mostly about culture. First, you have your culture. From your cultures, ceremonies, and rituals, you get emotions. The reaction to your emotions is called a feeling. A feeling that lasts a long time is called a mood. But to understand this, you have to have the emotional vocabulary. The emotional vocabulary starts before you are born. You cry before you are born, you laugh before you're born, you play before you're born. All of this takes place before you're born. You talk before you're born, you think before you're born, you get angry before you're born, you laugh before you're born. It doesn't happen after you emerge from your mother's uterus, which is the only time you should use that word. The only emergency you have in your life is when you emerge from your mother's uterus. That's what we call an emergency. Anything else you have is a crisis. So you develop all of this before you're born. The first trimester, you develop bonding and attachment and reattachment to your mother. You're building an emotional vocabulary so you can have the emotional expense account, so you can have the emotional budget. Without emotional knowledge, you cannot move your body. No one sells anything but emotions. You went to a nutritional store called McDonald's. What is vitamin A? McDonald's doesn't sell nutrition. McDonald's sells emotions. Or else you should be more smarter than me. First time I went to McDonald's, I had to take a leak. And that's the only time I ever went there. I joined the pissed off nation called the urination. That was the only time I went there in my life. It was to take a leak. McDonald's sells emotions, and that's the thing we do not understand. To have that, you must be bonded to your mother, and your mother must be bonded to your father. Your father was pregnant with your mother and the baby. The mother's pregnant with the baby, and the baby is birthing two adults as a parent. The baby's giving birth, not the mother. That's the African way of looking at it. But we are coming from another dynamic altogether. Some people call it white supremacy, but it's not white supremacy. It's white domination, supported by the belief of white supremacy, defended by white racism. They dominate science, they dominate history. It's about white domination. They'll give up white supremacy tomorrow if it doesn't work. I work for these people, the crackosaurs, white people. So what I'm trying to say is the emotions that's giving us the problems. We're emotionally attached to food. We emotionally like the Greek shape of foods. Hot dogs stuck between two buns. You think that's accidental? Children like circles, particularly the circle around the mother's nipple. So whenever you put a circle on something, the child will like it. Mickey Mouse the rat has two circular ears. That's why they like Mickey Mouse. You start looking at those circles and you see all these circles in children cartoons because circles remind them of the breast. To make things even more ridiculous, they had whipped cream and put a cherry nipple on top. They're not after the whipped cream, they're after the titty. You have to know how to manipulate people's emotions. And that's why they use a lot of circles with children. Emotions come from your culture. Without your culture, you have no feelings. That's why you cannot get up and dance when you hear Chinese music, because you have no feelings for Chinese music, because you have no emotions for Chinese, because you have no Chinese culture in you. Everything is a language of culture, and science is a cultural language. That's what I'm trying to say. Based on beliefs. We have no facts in European science, and I study the stuff. Every time they have a belief, they tell you, this is our belief about gravity. But we use the word theory, and you miss it. A theory is not a fact. The theory of evolution, theory of the speed of light, theory of gravity, the somatic mutation theory. The free radical theory, the ozone theory. It's all theories which are beliefs. And you do not have to use a fact to support beliefs. Beliefs need no facts. And they're telling you all of this is culture. It's my beliefs. It's my beliefs. And they keep saying the word theory and you're missing it. There's very few facts in European science. You want to go to science about facts, you got to go to Africa. Other than that, you're studying beliefs. That's why scientists don't need a religion. They already got one called theories. That's what we do. We do beliefs all around you and surround you with it. You chase money because money is valuable. What is value? It's an emotion. Someone told you emotionally to desire these Nikes. What is desire? Emotions. So you desire Nikes and then you go buy them. So economics is about manipulation of emotions. Has nothing to do with money whatsoever. You chasing gold and diamonds, I'm going to get as much money as I can. Right. But you should be after value. And value is emotions. Whatever my value, I may value this because I like it, you value something else. That's our emotional response. Follow me here. Someone controls value, controls wealth. You chase the gold because it's valuable. That's emotion. You say, oh, this gold is worth $500 a pound. Well, since I control value, I say, well, buy it all. And the next day I say gold's only worth a penny. Because I control value. He who controls value controls the world. He who controls desire puts a value on your desire, call it a Mercedes. That's emotions. You're manipulated by your emotions, and I don't want you to be attached to your emotions. Well, else you know the game. And the only way to break that attachment is make you a dysfunctional black person. To break your bond with your mother and your father, which breaks your bond with your culture. You're culturally homeless. That's why you're eating this garbage and junk food. To you, oh, I'm eating junk food. No, you're eating white man. It's just in another form is coming at you. That's all. You're attached to white culture. You're addicted to white people. You want their Grammys, their Oscars, their degrees. You have an addiction, a codependent addiction to white people. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, that's the way you want to go. But I say you're crazy. I just keep it real. You're dysfunctional. No, you're crazy. You're eating white sugar. Oh, I just have an eating disorder. What's the eating disorder? Emotional problem. Okay, I'm eating white sugar. I'm crazy. Just look in the mirror and say, you crazy. You crazy. That's what you have to do. You have to practice being crazy because no skill is achieved without practice. You want to play the piano, you got to practice. You want to sing, you got to practice. And if you want to be dumb, you better practice. Get more in the mirror every morning and say something dumb. You got to practice. You may slip up and say something smart and ruin your whole dumbass day. So every skill, no matter how you may think of it, you got to practice. Alcoholic has to practice. Drinking alcohol, they wouldn't be alcoholic. So that's the problem. We are trying to give information, say, eat whole foods the way God made them. But first I got to get past your addiction, your emotional problem that caused you to crave this food. You have an emotional problem because you've been emotionally damaged. To damage you, I had to damage your mother and father's relationship. That's why they sold the mother one way and the father one way in slavery. It wasn't about all of that. It was about damaging that relationship. Because if I could do that, I could damage you. Not a problem. So you're looking at food and I'm saying don't eat white rice, don't eat white grits, and you say, oh, it's about food. No, it's about you being emotionally damaged. Even a rat won't eat white rice if it's brown rice in a pile. They crawl over the white rice and eat the brown rice. Even a rat won't eat bleach white flour. They crawl over the bleach white flour to eat the whole wheat flour. Even a cow, it gets to such a point where you say, is there something wrong? Is there something wrong? And everybody said, no, it's not wrong. Dr. Uzi or Puss, whatever his name is, come on TV, be talking all that stuff. I just, whatever. So let me just say some nutritional things, because people say I'm heavy and deep and all that, but I ain't all of that. I come from a dysfunctional family. I'm telling you the truth. I come from the projects. We had government issued food. I used to get in line and get the government issued powdered rice, powdered milk, powdered eggs. I'm telling you what I had. It was issued and outdated, and they would give it to us Negroes in the hood. That's where I come from. We couldn't afford the ham, so we ate the pig ears, we ate the pig nose, we ate the pig tail. That's hop on the pig though. We ate the pig foot. Now let me start down the bottom. We ate the pig foot, we ate the pig ears, pig nose. I'm telling you, me and the pig, only language I know is oink oink. I'm a Negro. I'm a Ghettonese from the ghetto. So I'm telling you, I come from that whole kind of thing. It's a personal thing with me. I take this very personal. I'm not talking about science because it's hip and I'm heavy. I'm talking about because I take it personal, damn it. My mother died from diabetes. My sister died from diabetes. My brother died from diabetes. You see? And I had to watch them die. My mother said, I wish I was raised like you. That's what she told me. My brother said, I messed up. But you need to listen to my brother. That's what he was saying. Because he was on insulin, but insulin doesn't stop your brain from rotting, so he died of Alzheimer's. He didn't know me from a door because his brain was fried by the sugar. You see, it comes in various ways. If you want some knowledge, sometimes you can get it from the front door, but if you're a thief, you got to come around the back door. So I came around the back door to get this stuff. I couldn't knock on the white door because that was white. You see, I had to go around the back door. I had to read Greek and French and all these other characters and stuff. Coming down the back door to get the knowledge and information. And I'm writing books. I got about 8 books out there. I think my wife's selling 6 for $100. It's about $300 worth of books. I don't know why she does these things, but I got to sleep with somebody. So anyway, it's another subject. So in any case, I'm telling you, books cannot make you intelligent. Books cannot make you smart. God made you smart. God made you intelligent. Books help you to exercise and use your intelligence, but they can't make you intelligent. No way God gave you your intelligence. You read a book to exercise your intelligence. That's all. To think, you have to practice thinking. To be dumb, you have to practice being dumb. You really do. It takes a lot of skill to be stupid. You got to ignore everything. Marcus Garvey, Malcolm, you got to ignore Harriet Tubman. You got to ignore everything. By the way, I used to give history tours of DeMarc Vesey and Nat Turner's Trail. And I give history tours of Egypt and Trinidad, Tobago, Puerto Rico, just black history tours. I do them because my wife asked me to do it. Other than that, I would be home today if it wasn't for my wife. And that fella back there, DeMond Fields, he's a pest. Calls me. I gotta get you down here, Doc. I gotta get you down here. Oh, man. If it wasn't for him, I would be home. I'm telling you the God's honest truth. I'm not a socializer. I don't like talking to people. It drains me of energy. It really does. I like talking to me. I'm good company for me. I'm a quiet person. I don't like this stuff. I'm telling you, I'm worn out now. But I must warn you, back to this emotional thing. I'm serious about this emotional budget and the emotional expense account. Some things are too emotionally expensive for you to do. You say, I can do this quite well, but it's too emotionally expensive. Some things shouldn't be in your emotional budget. You just tell a person, you're not in my emotional budget. I can't talk to you this week. Keep it real. Because they'll wear you out. Talking to an ignorant Negro will wear you out. I'm telling you the truth. I gave a whole long lectures, diagrams and all that stuff. You see these diagrams and PowerPoint and all that kind of stuff. I stopped doing that. I gave whole lectures pointing out this and that and that and this. And the woman came up to me after the lecture and said, you mean Dr. Afrika, I can't eat sardines with my peanut butter sandwich? Duh! Everything else went, I said, went over her head. And I said, no, you can't. Not unless it's whole wheat. Because I go gradual. I don't say, like you would say, no, don't do that. I said, no, start with the whole wheat. She said, okay. That's how I start. You got to train your brain to think properly. It's not going to think properly on its own. You got to train it. You got to train a dog. You got to train a cat. You got to train your brain because all of a sudden it take that detour around White Lane. You just thinking white. You got to say, wait a minute, don't go on that exit. Keep going, brain. You got to train that brain, or else it's just going to take you right on down the white alley. You know what's going to happen. You're going to be bleaching cream. Y'all bleach rice. Y'all bleach food. Y'all bleach so much stuff. And they personalize the bleaching cream in Africa. I don't know if you know that. They buy the bleaching cream, then they add Clorox to it to personalize it. Whole face be white, hand black. Don't mean nothing. That's the damage of white supremacy. It's not the person, they're showing the effects of the disease. Let me explain what happens with this sugar. But the emotional problem started with the cell phones before the person was born. See, if you stress the mother in the first trimester, the child loses ability to bond properly. So they won't bond the money that runs through their hands, they won't bond the friendships, they're always trading one girlfriend after another. You see, they have bonding problems, and that's prenatal. That's developmental disorder. See, all of this stuff you think happening because you've grown up and you're away from home happened before you were born. We call it epigenetics in my business. Epigenetics. It's the attitude of your father when he conceived you, and your mother when she conceived you, you see. You have sugar. It's all right when it's in spinach. It's all right when it's in celery. It's all right when it's in a tomato. It's all right when it's in apple or orange. But once you take that sugar out of the sugar cane, you have a processed food. You have, by definition, a drug. Once you take the cocaine out of the coca leaf, you have a drug. As long as it's in the leaf, no problem. Once you take the opium out of the poppy seed, you have a drug. But as long as it's in the poppy seed, it can't addict you. You don't know nobody got a pocket full of poppy seeds. I'm a poppy junkie. You know. No. You can't get addicted to it once it's in its natural state. But once you take it out of its natural state, once you concentrate it or isolate the sugar from the sugar cane or the beets, you have a drug. You isolate it from your culture. You are a drug for white people. They get high off your music, they steal it. I'm telling you the truth. Steal your language. I hear white women say, you go girl. I'm saying, well, they need to go to hell. No, they don't. You go girl. They steal your language, your dancing. So you are processed. They call it seasoning the slaves. You see, you're culturally homeless. They process you. You call it social engineering today like it's something deep. That's just a new word for the same thing. They season a slave to be a slave. So you have taken the sugar out of the sugar cane. The body doesn't recognize this. It does not. The body says, I only know sugar the way God made it. The body says, I can't deal with this sugar unless I add the water that was with it when God made it, the vitamins, the minerals, the fiber. So the body tries to make the white sugar back in the sugar cane. It's like you eat a raisin. The body only knows grapes. You say, I don't know about that damn raisin. So you eat the raisin, the body says, well, if I put the water back in it and make it into a grape, I'll eat it. This is what goes on scientifically. We call it rehydrating. You eat a raisin, but before the body can metabolize it, it has to turn it back into a grape. That's what I'm saying. Where's it going to get the water from? Your nerves, your muscles, your bones. Where's it going to get the minerals from? Your teeth. You see, it's trying to make that sugarcane back into sugarcane grass. It's robbing Peter and robbing Paul. Nobody gets paid. So you ate the sugar, and there's an organ in your body called the pancreas. It doesn't do a damn thing, Roger. It just gives out orders. An order is called a hormone. The pancreas gives an order called insulin. That's a hormone. And says, get me some amylase, which is an enzyme that breaks down carbohydrates. So you eat the sugar to process the carbohydrate, be it pizza, be it bread, be it cake, be it it's a carbohydrate. But you can't digest it unless you have something to break it down, and we call it an enzyme. Technically, enzyme causes resistance. Like you fall down and you scrape your knee, the pavement offers resistance, so it scrapes your knee. The enzyme makes a resistance. So it's like peeling an onion. The enzymes get it down to its elementary form. In our culture, you used to have an elementary education, which means you understood your elements, your body, your mind, your soul, your spirit. You follow me? You understood your elements. In our culture, we call it an elementary education. You just flip the word around and say, I'm in elementary school. What about your elements? What about your emotions? What about your spirit? You don't know your elements. That's why you went to school, to get an elementary education. It doesn't mean anything today, by the way. Well, what I'm saying is, the body is trying to break down this carbohydrate so it can get it into the blood. But it's too big. It's called carbon and hydrogen. Carbohydrate, so it's big. That's why you eat an apple. You got to break it down, get it very small in its elementary form. Because before that carbohydrate can get in your blood, it has to go through a piece of hair in your intestines, an actual piece of hair with a hole in the center. So it has to be that small for you to get nourishment from it. That's why you chew it to make it smaller. Goes in your stomach. And the enzymes break it down. Then it breaks down some more, until they get small enough to go through a piece of hair in your intestines. Then you get the nourishment. In other words, you can eat breakfast at 9 o'clock, but it's got to get out of your stomach and into your intestines before you can get the energy from it. And you're not going to get the energy from breakfast till 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Physiologically impossible to get it the moment you ate it. Physiologically impossible. What you're getting energy from is the sugar, which is a drug on your pop farts or whatever y'all eating. You put the sugar on it, and the body says, let me fight for my life. So it rushes the energy to get rid of the sugar. You take the cocaine, the body says, it's going to kill me. So the body rushes energy to get rid of cocaine, and you call it being high. I feel good. You drink some alcohol, the body rushes energy to get rid of the alcohol. You say, I feel good, I feel fine. No, you don't. Alcohol makes you mentally ill. You lose your state of consciousness. You even lose how to walk. You's crazy. Alcohol makes you mentally ill because white people got to feel that way to be normal. That's why they drink it. They want to feel like they felt in the caves. And I go through all the cave history in a book, what's that called? Nutritional Destruction of Black People. That's the book where I go into the cave civilization, tell you how they lived, you see. But I don't want to digress into that. I just want you to feel where I'm coming from. You can forget my words, damn it, but just feel that I'm trying to say your superior, I'm giving you to say something, but this is church. Let us just say, if you're still using white toilet paper, there's something wrong with you. Let us just say that I use white toilet paper because I think that's what white people should take. Take this stuff, you cracker. That's why I use white toilet paper. It's a racist thing on my part. I told y'all this funk. I come from the ghetto. Forgive me. In any case, what I'm trying to say is, you chewing the food, but the body can't recognize white sugar. It wasn't made by God. You can put white sugar in the ground, it won't grow. So that's the problem. You cannot pretend to be God. That's what white people do. You can't pretend. Here's how it looks to God. You say, God made sugar canes. And white people say, no, that ain't the way you should make it, God. You should make white sugar out of it. You eat a potato. You say, no, God, you should fry the potato. Then put salt and pepper on it. Everything God does is wrong. How can you do that? You're drinking a carbonated soda, which is made by carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide. Those are poisons that your body's trying to breathe out. You went to the store and bought it and drank it. Your body's trying to get rid of carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide. Who taught you to do this? Who taught you to eat like this? Who taught you to have sex? A rapist. We don't know how to have sex. We know how to rape each other. We don't know about no sex. A rapist taught us how to have sex. Your slave master. He did. And he had children by your grandmother, and he sold his own children. So don't you get the mindset of this person? Not only did he sell his own children, he raped his own daughter so he can have more slaves. This is a mindset you don't know nothing about. Only an eagle can teach an eagle to fly. A turtle can't teach an eagle anything. An eagle can't teach a turtle to swim. You cannot teach white people. Fact. You can entertain them with "We shall overcome, we shall over," which is a sex song written by a Jew. Don't you hear the lyrics? We shall overcome. We shall. I was back there. There wasn't nothing nonviolent about black people. Black men were slapping their wives. I was there. We were only nonviolent with white people. We weren't nonviolent with each other. Give me a break. Let me go back to being intellectual, though. So we got to look at this food differently so we can be different. Because it takes a different mind to deal with this situation here. You see, you got to set up a precondition, as they say. I'm talking about the Geneva Convention for Genocide. All you have to do is set up the condition where a person destroys themselves. That's called genocide. You don't have to kill them, just set up the condition. And the condition is set up because we're culturally homeless, which means we can't define ourselves or anyone that looks like ourselves. You see? And once you've done that, the person can easily get addicted to things they should not be addicted to. Oh yeah. That's why I see y'all looking at each other behind. None of you sell toilet paper. Why are you looking at the ass? Why? Maybe you got a sniffing disease. I do not know. But what I'm trying to say is this. We were taught to look each other by our slave master who's trying to sell us. So you're looking at the black woman's behind and a breast. That means she can nurse children. If she had 13 children, she was automatically free. So we're looking at each other like we're going to sell each other as slaves. We look at each other and make each other sick. We don't look at each other spiritually. Who taught you how to eat? Who taught you how to have sex? Who taught you how to look at each other? Who taught you how to have broken homes? Because we can't get close to each other. Because during slavery, you got close to each other, you may get sold. And that's very traumatic. Somebody selling your mother and sister and brother. So black men and women don't get close to each other from slavery. All I'm trying to say is no accident that Charles Barkley and OJ had a white woman. That's all I'm trying to say. You stuck a white bottle of milk in their face when they were born. Don't you think that has an impact? It's called psychological imprinting. You imprinted white people nourishing you and saving you. You see? And you know black people don't want to eat the dark meat on a turkey. We want the white meat. I'm not lying to you. And it's crazy anyway. The turkey dead and you putting stuffing in it like it's going to eat something? Then to make matters worse, you open up their legs and eat out of his ass. And then you say you're civilized. I'm just trying to say, oh man. I don't know what I'm trying to say now. I got totally lost. I was listening to Kepler and I wanted to cry. I'm telling you. And I used to do special ed. I was a psychotherapist person. For 15 years, I used to help people be well, but not actually. I was a white therapist for white people. I helped them be white. I'm just going to tell you the truth. I helped them be white, and I helped them to make you crazy. I'm just telling you the truth. So when he was talking, I said, jeez, this whole thing started way before they walked into school. Way before then. It didn't start with the TV. The TV is just nurturing that condition that was already set up. In any case, sugar damages the pancreas because the pancreas try to squirt this insulin out so you can break down a carbohydrate called bleached white flour, white rice. Those are carbohydrates, as we call it. And the body goes into overdrive and it burns out these little melanin centers on the pancreas called islets. And you no longer can make the hormone called insulin It tells the liver to make amylase to break down the carbohydrates. What happens is it can't break it down, so the sugar stays in the blood. That's why the diabetics test their blood. I'm not losing anyone, am I? Okay, you know, this is not a white lecture. You can stop me and say, hey, bro, what that word mean? What that? Who that? What that? So what I'm trying to say is that we can get there. Don't think I'm saying you can't get there. You can be healthy, but you got to have an understanding of this process. This was all set up long before you even open your mouth. Anyway, I don't mean to go there. So, you burning out the pancreas, and it can't break down the sugar, so the sugar stays in the blood. Before it gets out of the blood, some of it becomes urine, so the sugar stays in the urine. That's what I'm trying to get to. And it pulls out the moisture of the bladder and the muscle that controls urinating. That's why you see diapers for adults, because the sugar did that. It stayed in the urine, pulled the moisture out of the bladder, pulled the moisture out of the muscle, and they peed on itself. Which doesn't, they just buy diapers, you know what I mean. It didn't stop my brother. He'd take off his diaper, put on, have sex, put his diaper back on. I mean, keeping it real. So, I'm saying, it looks a long way from sugar, but it's sugar. Because it's a disease of the pancreas, one of which is diabetes. Another of which is arthritis, because it pulls the moisture out of the joints. And the joints rub together, arthritis. The sugar sitting in the blood and the fluids, pulling the moisture out of the eyes, cataracts and glaucoma. The sugar sitting in the blood and gets in the skin and pulls the moisture out of the skin, and you got young men 25 years old bald. It's sugar. I'm just trying to explain this, things that you think are not related to it. It's sugar. The sugar causes attention deficit, which is a new word for senility. You look under senility, look under attention deficit, same definition. You got a 6-year-old kid, you say, where's your homework? I don't know. He's already senile. You know I'm telling you the truth. That's senility. What pulled the moisture out of the brain cells and killed them? Sugar. All of this is caused by sugar. What dries out the women's skin so they have to buy more lotion? Sugar. Why do women and men like sweet smelling perfume? Oh, she smells sweet. She smells like a candy bar, Negro. That's sugar. We want the woman to smell like a sugar, plus we call her sweetie. We are addicts. He's not talking to you, he's talking to sugar. This sugar is just creeping through all these different paths, and you waiting for the big thing called diabetes. I'm saying it's already messed you up. Because the Greek said you pee a lot when you have something wrong with your pancreas. And the Greek word for I pee a lot is called diabetes. Is it? It was always sugar. And what did they put black people on all over the world? Sugar. What turns to sugar quickly? White potatoes and French fries. And white rice. Sugar. Sugar is emotionally attached to a feeling. See, I'm back to emotion. Remember, your culture gives you emotions. Your reaction to your emotion is a feeling. I'm back to that. The inability to love, give love, or receive love is related to sugar. The sugar represents the love of your birthday, your love of a holiday, Christmas. So if you can't manifest love in your life, you eat the sugar. You eat the love. You see? It's emotional dysfunctionality at its best. That's why women will be up late at night eating ice cream. Because they're trying to eat the love they can't get from Leroy. You follow me? I'm just trying to explain what's going on here. You see? And they don't want no black dildo. They want a white dildo. Sugar. Look out, couples are now sharing the same dildo. That in itself, never mind. Never mind. Sugar. So I'm trying to say that we survived slavery, we survived lynchings, and this is nothing new for us. We can get past this one, I'm telling you. If you can get past slavery, you're a tough dude. And we got past slavery, I'm just telling you. We can get past this, but we're so beat down that we think we can't do that. You just keep going, that's what Harriet Tubman said. You just keep going. And she killed more black people with that rifle than white people. Because they would tell the master, Harriet Tubman, she's talking about some freedom, master. I don't know, she trying to take me away from you, master. She's talking about freedom. Harriet turned around and said, you coming with me? He said, no, I'm going back to master. Pow! Bust a cap in it. She killed more black people than white people. I'm just telling you the truth. You can't trust no Uncle Tom, the Indian, Uncle Tom, black Uncle Tom. Yeah, that's right. So what I'm trying to say is, you can shut down the sugar craving with chickweed, which is a herb, chickweed. And if you want a mineral, we use vanadium, vanadium, vanadium. It's a mineral. It's on the periodic table. Teach it to kids in school all the time. They don't know. It's time for me to stop talking now. You know I don't like talking. Okay, so anyway, vanadium alone will get rid of diabetes in 6 months. Alone. But you can't eat any white rice, probably sugar, honey, bleach white. You can't eat any of that. It's spelled with the letter V as in victory. vanadium. Vanadium. The herb is chickweed. The amino acid is glutamine.
Do you need chromium to go with the vanadium?
A what?
Chromium, vanadium, chromium.
Chromium you don't have. Chromium is a vitamin that's used for diabetes. Vanadium is a mineral used for diabetes. Glutamine is an amino acid used for diabetes. Chickweed is a herb used for cravings. One of which is sugar. Another can be masturbating. I don't care what you're craving. It shuts down cravings. It could be Atlanta housewives. Because everything is using the same highway. A truck goes down the highway, a Jeep, a motorcycle, all they use the same highway. And craving goes down the same neurological, goes down the same nerve system. That's all I'm trying to say. Yeah, you can use chromium if you don't have high blood pressure. Chromium. Because chromium sometimes will spike the blood pressure. That's why I didn't mention it. But chromium is popular. Chromium picolinate, I think, is popular. But that's getting into my words. I didn't want to go into those words. Chromium and picolinate is a division of another nutrient. And I didn't want to go into all that little science crapola that I know. Not that there's anything wrong, because I teach a lot of chemistry and biology and all that stuff, physiology. I'm just saying it's a language. Don't think you're learning anything. You're learning a language. And that's what I teach. Linguistics, to tell you the truth. Because there's three things that we can use to say the same thing. I can say B2, or I can say to God, thiamine, which is B2. Or I can give it a color name and call it a flavonoid. Flavonoid is the color name for B2. B2 is it's just three different names, and you don't know which name where I'm coming from. So I'm just keeping you confused by using all these different languages. That's what we do. We're linguistic specialists in chemistry. We're not teaching you anything. We just change the language. I can say inhale, inspire. I'm just changing the language. Yeah, you're breathing. That's all. But I'm using all these different words. And you say, Dad, this is deep, this is heavy. No, it ain't. I'm just switching words to hide my ignorance. That's what white people do. Black people are the scientists. They use facts. White people use theories, which is a belief. It's a belief-based science. Theory of gravity. Electron orbital theory, somatic theory, mutation theory, the germ theory, which supports the contagious disease theory, which is about why you get a vaccination. Vaccination is based on a theory, belief, not a fact. We call it the contagious disease theory, which is based on the germ theory, which means you're using a fantasy to sell something. You see, that's why I say people that try to get vaccinated, I said, did Mother Goose get vaccinated, nickel? You know, I'm just saying. If you're going to use fantasy, use fantasy. It's a theory. The germ theory, the contagious disease theory that you take vaccinations for. These are Europeans. They have a belief system. They don't have a factual system. Anyway, it's hard to get the white man out of your brain. I know that. I know that. It's very hard. It's very hard. So just do the best you can and just know that everybody's not going to make it. Some of y'all be dead next year when I come back here. You will. You'll be dead in your brain, crazy as hell. I don't know. That's what happens to it. I don't expect all of y'all to be all right when I come back. You know what I mean? Athlete's foot caused by sugar. Dandruff, which is a yeast infection caused by sugar. Keep in mind that sugar, without carbohydrates, you can't have alcohol. Barley makes beer. Grapes make wine. You have to ferment a carbohydrate, and you get alcohol. And vinegar is a part of the alcohol family. We call it species. So vinegar does the same thing as alcohol, as sugar. You're not following me here. The food rots in your body. Once it leaves your stomach, it rots in your intestines at 98.6. You follow me here? The only time you can digest food is in something called your duodenum. That's where digestion takes place in your body, no place else. This is your intestines. This is where the food rots. Oh, let's go back. You have sensors. The eyes do not know what it's seeing. The ears do not know what it's hearing. Your taste buds don't know what they're tasting. Your touch doesn't know what it's touching. You have one sense, your brain. Your brain tastes, your brain sees, your brain hears. But you have 5 sensors. Sense of hearing, sense of smell. Those are sensors. Only the brain can tell you, that's a fart I smelled. So you have one sense and 5 sensors. You have one God. You're getting back to African monotheism and all that. I don't want to get into that trail. I'm just saying we have been miseducated. Do you know that the animals that eat a lot of fiber don't use toilet paper? Have you ever seen a cow stop and say, let me wipe my ass? They eat a lot of fiber, so they don't need toilet paper. It's just when you eat this slimy stuff, you need toilet paper. You're sitting on the toilet because that's the proper way to have a bowel movement, because the Europeans taught you that. Everybody else squats. Everybody. Chinese, Japanese, they squat. So you got to elevate your knee above your navel so you get the right squat, or you can get some hemorrhoids. That's when the veins in your behind get big because you done grunted trying to be James Brown and bust the damn vein in your ass. Excuse me, Jesus. Excuse me, Oprah. Excuse me, Clarence Thomas. I'm covering everything, you know. I'm just, this dysfunctionality that we have goes back. And you think it's a small thing, and I'm saying it is a small thing. You were not born properly. You were not carried by your mother properly. Because they didn't want you to have this bond.